Hi, I'm Terry Davenport. Welcome to our third video in the series of supporting people who are grieving. Today we're going to consider why people feel uncomfortable when they're dealing with other people's grief and look at what they can do to overcome those feelings so that they are able to provide an effective level of support for people. So, why do people feel uncomfortable when they're dealing with someone else's grief? Well, there are a range of reasons. It may be that dealing with someone else's grief can trigger personal memories, thoughts and feelings about a previous loss of your own. And that can get in the way of you being able to pay attention to the person who in front of you who is grieving now. It may be that you've had a prior negative experience of dealing with grief, and that gives rise to an expectation that it might happen again, and that makes you feel anxious about that. It could be that through a lack of understanding of grief and the grieving process, you find it difficult to know what to do. You might fear making things worse, or you simply might not know what to say. You might feel that it's your job to make the person feel better, but you don't really know how to do that. Well, all of these things undermine our confidence in being able to deal with the person who's grieving. So what can we do about that? The first thing, I think, is to really understand your own feelings. It can be really helpful if you give your feelings a name. If you actually say out loud to yourself, oh, I'm feeling confused, or I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling scared. Whatever it is you may be feeling, once you acknowledge that, you can then begin to think about why it may be that you feel that way. What's behind that? Allowing yourself to think about that can give insight into your own feelings and where they come from. And once you're aware of that, then you can make a plan of how you're going to tackle it. Now, it could be that you might think, okay, I understand why I'm feeling that way, and that's got nothing to do with this current situation, so I don't need to feel like that. And you can take a deep breath and dive in. But it may be that you think, oh, I don't feel ready for this. I don't think I can do this right now. If that's the case, then it's really important that you find a way of dealing with your own thoughts and feelings in relation to this. It may be necessary for you to get some help in doing that, because until you've dealt with that, it will be really difficult for you to be there present with the person who's grieving and offer them the sort of support that they need. The last thing there in this is really important to understand what your role is as the as the supporting person. We touched on this in the previous video, and you may find it useful to go back and have a look at that. But remember, it is not your grief, it's their grief. And you're not responsible for it. You don't have to fix it. Your job is to help them and encourage them to go through the process of dealing with their own thoughts and feelings about the grief. But I hear you say, what if I say something that makes it worse? Well, you know, there's a good chance that in talking with someone about grieving, they may well become upset. And that's not because you made it worse, it's because they are upset. They've lost someone or something that is really significant. And so they do have those feelings. If they express them out loud to you in that situation, then you're doing your job. Your job, you remember, is to encourage them and support them to express their own thoughts and feelings so they can work through those. So don't be concerned if a person gets upset. It means that you've created that safe space for them to be able to express their thoughts and feelings. It's important that you are able to take a risk, get in there and have a go, because saying nothing is worse. If you keep within the limits of the role, as we've explained it, then you have nothing to be concerned about. Now, if this has raised any issues for you, then it's important that you call Grief Line on 1300 845 745 or talk to your doctor. The final video in this series, we will share some techniques and skills that you will find really helpful in carrying out this role of supporting the person who's grieving. We look forward to joining you then.